Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy everybody, and welcome to the Game of the Year 2019 Praise the Pickle Extravaganza. Gonza. Extravaganza. Yes.
Very posh today.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Yeah, if you listen. Yeah. Happy New Year anyway. Don't worry. This is the Praise the Pickle Game of the Year show. So we've got our 12 games that we picked last week, and they're all going in a hat, and they're all going to face off against each other, and we're going to come out with our top three, and then finally our top game, our game of the year for the year of 2019. So first things first, I'll go through our 12 games. So we've all picked 4 each, and which we think are deserving and for different reasons, and we'll go into them as they get drawn out of the hat, basically. So mine are Death Stranding, Katana Zero, Void Bastards, and Luigi's Mansion 3. Daniel's are Grease, Arise, Simple Story, Hades, and Disco Elysium. And Kevlar's are Resident Evil 2, Apex Legends, Untitled Goose Game, and Borderlands 3.
The winner, the clear winner.
No.
One that's going to make... It's going to be running around in circles with a little trophy above his head.
You wait to see how stubborn I get on that vote, man. So the way this works is I've got all 12 games in a hat next to me. I've taken a picture for evidence that they're all folded up and ready to go. Not that evidence really matters in a picture, because I can just take them out and look anyway.
It's
rigged! And so yeah, 12 games, we'll pick 2 at a time out, and they will face off against each other, and the only way for that game, for the winner to get through to the next round, is if it gets 3 votes. So most cases it's going to be 2-1, but it has to be unanimous to get through. So it's going to be a lot of stubborn arguing this game. I just want to say, guys, this just, can we all remain friends afterwards? I don't want this to be the last episode, and just remember that this is all in good sport.
The podcast was finishing.
No, Kevin, it is not finishing.
I thought we were going to go out an all-out war.
So, but it's just remember that no matter, don't get hurt feelings from this game. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to be really antsy and get pissed off throughout, I'm sure, but we're still friends at the end of the day, okay? Just want to make sure that's clear. Anyway, yeah, the winners will go through, and then the next 6 will face off against each other in categories A, B, and C. So the first 4, go to the next 2, and then the next 4 go to the next 2, and whatever. And then A, B, and C will go against each other, and then we'll have our top 3, and then we have to decide which one of those is our top game. So, does that all make sense?
Yep.
Is everyone excited?
Very good for that, yeah.
Hype.
I'm hyped.
I'm scared.
Hype. Okay. The first game is coming out.
Whoa.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go on.
I didn't want to, let you guys in something, but I have wrote a poem for this one.
But why?
Because I feel like every episode has a poem now, so we have to have a Game of the Year poem.
You got a Game of the Year poem?
Yeah, so it doesn't have anything to do with, how you get in contact with us and stuff.
This is hype. I'm ready.
It's the Game of the Year.
I'm excited. Go on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's the Game of the Year show. Time to get my rap to flow. I'm coming at you with my ammo. I'm an American buffalo. Now listen up, you pickles, for this is the only game show that will hit your tickles. Me, Dan, Ben are competing. They better get ready for their beating. I've prepared my defence to push you off the fence. I will end this podcast triumphant. You'll both be bowing down to me, elephant.
Elephants.
He had such good flow up to that point, and he just ran out and was like, elephant. Beautiful. So good.
Excellent work, Kevin.
All right.
Thank you.
But no, you won't be triumphant. Okay. The first game is coming out of the hat. Oh, I'm so scared.
Oh my god.
I'm actually like shaking a little bit. It's
Someone
just so
hold
sad.
me. I'm gonna faint.
Okay. The first game is Katana Zero, which is my game. So we'll talk about them as they come out of the hat, and then we can face off after that. So, little snippet of information about what Katana Zero is. So, for people who don't know Katana Zero, it is a 2D action platformer game developed by ASCII and published by Devolver, which means it's guaranteed to be amazing. You play as a katana-wielding assassin, and you must plan out how to take out several rooms at a time worth of enemies in super high-octane combat before seeing the successful plan be carried out at the end. And it's basically I wasn't expecting this to be as good as it was. I was expecting it to be a bit like Hotline Miami, which it is. It has similar sort of, quick restart. You basically walk in and plan out what you're going to do. You can, deflect bullets, you can throw Molotovs, you can slow down time, you can do all sorts of wacky shiz, right? But it's so fast and so precise that it's so satisfying to complete each individual level is so satisfying in its own right, which is what makes it so good. But the reason that I think this is Game of the Year material is because I did not expect a game of this style to have a really good story on the side, and it really does. Like, the story is really thought out and interesting throughout, basically. So, Dan, you've played a bit of this now, haven't you? Yeah, cool.
Hey, go on. That's it.
Dan?
When you picked it, I decided to pick it up. Sorry, I pressed mute.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, go on.
It's as good as you said it was. Truly, Hotline Miami, obviously a pretty obvious comparison. Some of the restarts are a bit long, but it works because you need to flow quite well from one end of the level to the next. So there are times where I managed to navigate through, a good minute long of all these little intricate kind of battles and encounters, and then I'd mess up and get sent right back to the start and have to do it all over again. But it never felt annoying. It was like, oh, okay, and it's strategic. The writing is really good. The actual dialogue system in itself is pretty good too. And the whole dynamic with like your therapist and the story of your past all sort of slowly coming together it just adds a lot more depth to it. I had a really good time with it. I think it's really good.
Have you finished it?
No, I didn't get time.
Oh man, I want to talk to you about the last boss fight. It's so good.
Is it?
The last boss fight is genius. Yeah.
The level in the nightclub just made me smile so much.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Blending in with the crowds and the little rave animation. Absolutely loved it, man.
Yeah. It's so stylish, isn't it? It's such a stylish.
Oh, it's so
game,
slick. Yeah, it's wicked.
Am I right in saying, this is more going back to the gameplay part of it, that we said it was like Hotline Miami, so it's simply you jump into a level and you have to complete that level before you go to the next level. You can't save halfway through.
Yeah.
So
same as that.
you have to, and it's the same way as you have to kind of plan out every single attack you go into.
Yeah.
Otherwise, obviously, you die and you have to restart yourself. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
So you restart.
It's just a different take on it.
Yeah, it's a different take on it, but I personally prefer it to Hotline Miami, personally.
Me too, and I loved Hotline Miami.
Yeah, but it's Kevin, you'd love it. You'd really love it, I think. Definitely. Okay, the next game is coming out of the hat. So Katana Zero is up against... Oh! Greece.
Oh, no.
Dan, this is your game. Go for it.
Alright, so me and Ben have both played this. So Gris is... Greece. I'm going to call it Gris. It's easier.
Just call it Gris,
yeah. Yeah, it's a side-scrolling platformer puzzle game about a young girl who's lost in her own world, dealing with some kind of painful experience. And her journey through, I guess, sorrow, mostly, is manifested in her dress and in the world around her, which is kind of like a canvas that's been washed out of all color. And as you progress through the game, the color kind of floods back into the world again, and it's basically an artistic masterpiece. It's all beautifully hand drawn.
Not basically, it is just a masterpiece. Yeah.
I should have said it was made by Nomada Studio.
Yeah.
Who I don't know if they have anything else. Their website doesn't display anything else, so they kind of came out of nowhere, as far as I'm aware. And it's absolutely gorgeous. The music is some of the best I've ever heard in a video game, and it's a lot about sound. So the game starts off with your character, standing in the hand of a giant statue. It's all kind of symbolic and abstract, but you're standing on the hand of a statue, looking up at the statue's face, and you're singing, and you kind of start to lose your voice. And as that happens, as you start to sort of choke on the song that you're singing, the statue starts to slowly crumble and fall apart, and then the whole world falls apart, and
And you die.
And then that's the end. Yeah. It's just got this stunning level design and this variety of different environments that constantly change and get slightly more deep and complex as you unlock the color palettes of the world, basically. And it's just a testament to emotional storytelling in video games, and the fact that it does it without a single word of dialogue and just evokes so many feelings is something really truly special. It's potentially one of my favorite games of all time. For me, it's up there with like Journey, which is basically my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowingly good. Completely took my breath away.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that. I mean, you said it was a testament to emotional storytelling, but I think it's a testament to... It brings me back to the Senua thing. And it's like, remember the whole Senua argument about about Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice game back in episode, I don't know, 5 or something we were talking about it. And we got some feedback saying that people shouldn't be, use real life things in games, and I was like, I disagreed personally, but I think Greece is it's just a testament to that, just to the fact that games are art as well, and that it's not just about gameplay, and it's not just about the how much fun it is to play. It is the fact that it can be a pure art piece in terms of music and visuals and storytelling and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be this really complex, mechanical game to be amazing. Like it was just a pure masterpiece in my opinion. But
so they're different. Oh, yeah, go.
I was going to say, they say from the get-go in that game as well that there's no death. Like, it's not stressful in that way, and to have a game where there's no way to fail it, like you can't die at all, is something you don't see very often. And for it to still be as engaging and at some points challenging, I guess, as it was, without ever making you feel like you were under stress or under pressure, was just it's just really cool. I just loved it so much.
Yeah.
So the whole no death thing works well with the kind of game that it is.
You wouldn't think it would, but it does. Yeah.
Well, if anything, I'd assume it would, considering it seems like it's meant to be quite a peaceful. You kind of just go about slowly doing all your puzzles and stuff. That having no death, having that idea on your head that there's potentially a death and a consequence to it, might hinder its.
Yeah, no, that's exactly
the
right.
overall point of the game kind of thing.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some really intense moments where you feel, without spoiling too much, because everybody should play this game. There are some moments where it's like somehow still terrifying and still like oh shit, things are going horribly wrong. This isn't good. This isn't good. But you still know in the back of your mind that you can't fail. You can't die. So
no, but you don't. But you don't even think that. That's what I mean by how amazing a piece of an artwork thing this is. Is that the fact that it can make you feel scared or feel, like, oh, this is like really intense, even though you can't die. Do you know what I mean? Like the only way you can normally feel like that in other games is because you know that death is approaching, sort of thing. But in this, there's nothing like that. But it's just intense visuals and music and like, oh my god, and it's it's amazing. But I know that came out in December last year, by the way. But we're doing it from the start of December onwards. So
do you not think that maybe this game, there's not enough of it, or do you think that the length is perfect for what the game is?
Literally perfect. Like, if it was any longer, it would have dragged. If it was any shorter, it would have been too short. Yeah, it was bang on. Like, it ended, I was like, yeah. Perfect,
Yeah. I'm definitely going to go back and play it again as well.
Yeah, I'm sure I will, yeah.
It's one of those games you can complete in one sitting, but I think those types of games, you need that because you need to kind of feel the full roller coaster of that emotional journey, like the ups and the downs, all in one go. Like, if you play it half an hour a day over the space of a couple of weeks, it might not have the same.
Yeah, I played it in 2 sittings, but
I did too. Yeah, I'm just saying it's possible to do it in one.
Yeah, but even when I started the second sitting, even before I started the second sitting, I was like, I can't really bother to play it, to be honest.
Yeah,
exactly. So, because you sort of fall off the roller coaster a little bit, and then you have to get back on it, and it's like, Anyway, let's vote. Kevin, you can start this one. Which game you haven't played either? So which one do you think sounds better to you? Which one would you rather play? Put it that way.
If anyone knows me, it would definitely be Katana, just because I'm not a artsy fartsy kind of guy.
Fair enough.
The idea of not dying, I understand it works well with the game, but I don't like the idea that you can do whatever the bloody hell you want and there'll be no consequence.
Fair enough. Dan?
Greece, 100%.
Yep. Okay. I have my 4 games. Okay. Katana Zero is probably the only one you let go. I'm willing to sacrifice for Greece, just a forewarning, okay?
Okay.
Because I love Greece that much, I will vote Greece as well. So, we've reached our first stalemate already. Dan, you can try and convince Kevin. Go.
Okay, Kevin. I know you're not into artsy fartsy, as you so eloquently put it, but you know when you play a game, like even when we first played like Risk of Rain, and you boot it up and you look around at the world and you're like, oh, actually this is really nice, and I like the colors and the visual effect that this is having on me, and the things popping out of the screen and the world that you're in. You know, you feel that sometimes, right? You feel the immersion and you feel the delicate world building that's happened. It's not just clicking buttons and pressing things and seeing numbers appear, right? Is it not? It's you have to fully appreciate why these people sit and make these games and why they spend years developing them, what the purpose is, and
to get money, and that's their job.
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be that way, you know.
No, if it was just to get money, then why would they not just make a gacha loot box game? Why would they make this?
Because they found a niche in the market.
But it's not a niche at all. It's not near a niche. What, a platforming puzzle game?
Yeah, but nearly every single platforming puzzle game has deaths, has more killing and
that is not the USP of this game. No, that is the USP is not the fact that you can't die. It's not even.
I get that, but it's not an action type game. Like most platformers are very actiony. This game is very, I guess, opposite of that. It's just figuring out how to get from A to B. while painting the world.
Dan, this is going to be so hard.
I'll be honest with you, Greece was never going to be up there for me because it's just so not my thing. And I'll be honest with you, both of you guys like these games. For me, I don't care for either of them. I just personally would not ever want to play Greece.
But you don't know that until you. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if you would like it at all. But like this, if you listen to what me and Ben are saying as well, we're saying that Katana is an excellent, fun game, but we're also saying that Greece is one of the best games of all time. Like, if you respect us, then you will.
Not sure that's how it works, but not sure that's how it works.
You will take that and absorb it because it's.
I'm not doubting
even
that.
If it doesn't mean anything to you, though, Kevin, think about the emotional impact it's had on other people. Like it means a lot to a lot of people. And
I'm not doubting that it's not a good game, but I'm just saying.
So
I mean, I could imagine it being for people that do like indie type games, for people that do like slow paced games, it can be quite good. But for the majority of people that would prefer to just go around beating life and living crap out of people and having a bit more action, it doesn't sound anything like anyone would ever want to play.
Have you ever been sad?
Kev, have you ever been sad?
Usually I get sad when either people are very sad in things, or people are very happy and it's a very happy ending.
Well, the main character in Greece is very sad.
Why is she sad?
Because she's experienced some sort of trauma.
What's the trauma? If it's a loss of a human, then I understand that. If it's anything else,
yeah, loss of a human, yeah.
But so what I'm saying is, if you've had a bad experience in your own life recently, like you're a bit sad, basically. This is the sort of game where, although you have no idea what the character has been through specifically, it doesn't give you like a backstory or anything. It's all about the emotions and the grief and everything. You will find a way to relate to that. In most cases, you'll remember a time in your life where you were having a difficult time, and at first it feels like it's a bit weird and a bit abstract, and there's no like solid answer as to what's going on, but quite quickly it becomes pretty clear that the journey that this is trying to portray is quite heavily relatable to most people, unless you're a psychopath.
What do you think, Kev?
It's a beautiful game that has touched many souls.
Okay, so obviously we need
Kevin's
3 votes.
arguing. Okay, hold on. Kevin, you're arguing against Greece, and you haven't even played Katana Zero.
Yeah, but I'm arguing for the one that I think sounds best.
Yeah, but you can't put up that much of an argument.
At the end of the but at the end of I mean, I told you at the end of the day, I don't really care if either one. I've never played it with them, and
Pick Greece.
Yeah, well, go for it. It ain't gonna affect me. Like, well, the whole point was you were meant to try and convince me that it was a better game, but that
it is
happen,
a better game.
But
do you not feel convinced?
Even the person
then
that
you've convinced me.
said it was. The person that picked Katana said that the other one was the better game.
Yeah.
Okay, you have well and truly convinced me.
Are you sure,
choose
Kevin?
Greece. Oh yeah, man.
No, that's not the point of this, Kevin. Come on.
You're not going to convince me a game when you don't do anything but paint a picture.
Okay. Alright, we're getting into dirty tactics now, Kevin. Kevin, pick one of your games and I will vote for that if you change your vote to Greece. No matter what it's up against.
I'm alright, thank you. I'm just going to...
He's already changed his mind, Ben, quick.
Yeah.
No, let's move on.
Just go for Greece. That doesn't affect me either way, does it?
Yeah,
Greece is going to win this year anyway. I'm going to make sure of it.
I don't know about that. I said Katana Zero was the only one I was willing to get rid of. So.
Okay.
All right. Next game. It's coming out
winner of the first round.
The winner of the first round is Greece, or Gris, as Dan calls it. The next game is Hades.
Cool. So Hades was developed by Supergiant Games, who made Bastion as their first game, which was excellent. They also made a game called Pyre and a game called Transistor, and they were all very interesting, pretty. They have an amazing artist, basically, who they hired in the Bastion days, and who has developed this wonderful hand-drawn art style. Hades is their latest game. It came out early access at the very, very end of last year, of 2018, that is, and is supposed to be leaving early access around now. I'm not sure if it has yet, but it's basically a 2019 game. It's a roguelike isometric action game. You play as the son of Hades himself, Lord of the Underworld, and it's also kind of narrative driven. So as you progress through each of your runs, as they call them in these sorts of games, when you die, which is almost inevitable, you are teleported back to the start and respawned, and your dad Hades kind of laughs at you and says you're an idiot, you ain't going to get out of hell anytime soon. But you've also got all these other gods and ancient Greek figures that you can speak to and have conversations with, and it's just a really interesting world with a lot of cool things to do and a really interesting, fun combat style that is, in my opinion, difficult enough to be a lot of fun, but not the most difficult roguelike game I've ever played. And I just think it's excellent, and it's beautiful, and it's got a wonderful soundtrack that, what's his name? Darren Korb wrote. Awesome voice acting too. It's just a very complete feeling experience.
It's very polished,
for something that's, especially for something that's still essentially in early access.
Yeah. I've played it. I said I'd play it after the last pod, and I did, and I found it felt quite easy.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. You rushed through it far quicker than I did. Maybe I just suck at it, but
yeah, probably. And I quite liked it. I wasn't massively sold on it, but it was very polished. I liked the hub world. I thought it was quite cool, like the place to go back to after you die and to see your dad and the Cerberus dog and all these people and whatnot. I thought it was quite cool.
It's the game you were playing on stream once.
Yes, it's the one down.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Like, well, I don't know if I enjoyed you watching you play it, or it was just the game in general did actually seem quite. Yeah,
this is like a lot more up your street, Kev. Yeah,
I can imagine it being good as like a like playing with your mates and stuff if you can.
Watch out, it has a good art style though. Okay, so that might put you off. So, okay, next game. Yeah, everyone ready? Yeah, next game.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
So Hades is up against. Oh, that's an interesting one. Apex Legends. So Kev, give us the lowdown on the Apex.
It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Well, Apex Legends was a game that popped out of nowhere. It was right in the middle of the Battle Royale era, where it is, where Battle Royales were at its peak of the thing that everyone wanted to play. It's made by EA's Respawn. It's a very similar to a lot of the battle royales, where it's just a looty, shooty. You go around finding your guns, your armor, and your ammo, and all your items to aid you to your victory. And there's multiple sets of characters you can play as, all with different abilities, very unique to their character. That you have to use, and you play against other people, which I guess is one thing that I think a lot of people like, is that it's a solely online game. And not only that, it was a different take on the fact that it was a 3-player battle royale, which I think, personally, having played quite a few battle royales, it's a perfect number, because 2 people, it seems like if you get kind of jumped up on and you die, it's just bam, you're finished. 4 people, you feel like you're going for a full-out war. 3 people, you got the good mixture. And
I agree. I think 3's really good as well. Because you stand a chance if you lose one person, whereas if you lose one person in duos, you're kind of buggered by yourself. So
Mm. Also, the shooting in general seems pretty clean. Seems like you shoot somewhere, you hit the person kind of thing. Nothing seems too overpowered.
I mean, there were a few. Again, it's a game, online game that came out
it's
of
a
nowhere.
balancing game, yeah.
And yeah, they had to balance it over time. But because originally, was it the wingman that was like completely broken? Was
Oh,
it the
okay,
revolver
yeah.
one that was just like 70 damage for a headshot or something. It was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, in general, from what I can gather, there's enough. I mean, every single character by themselves, none of them really have that great of an advantage over another person. Maybe other than people think that mobility is probably the best thing to use in that game, but that's very small things that, you have all characters that depend on your gameplay style. I think in general this game is just a bunch of fun. I think it's really fun. I mean you can fly around everywhere. It's fast paced, so that it keeps you on your toes. You get excited when you get your favourite guns and stuff. You get excited when you get new armour, when you win a little fight. It's very team based. You've got to talk to your mates and stuff when you do it all. It's such a... Considering this game came out of nowhere,
yeah,
it's... Which, in a way, you can kind of use it to your advantage, but I don't think you should, kind of thing, because it's still just a game. Whether or not it had anything behind it, advertisement stuff, I think it was still a...
Well, yeah, they did all their advertising through streamers, didn't they? They gave
the marketing campaign was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
was
they
it?
didn't do like any marketing at all apart from streamers. They literally just got the big streamers and were like, "Look, play our game." That was it. So that's how word got out. Basically, you just suddenly was like, "Oh, okay, Shroud, you're playing this game called Apex Legends. What the hell is this?" And then it just looked really good, and everyone played it basically. But I mean, just to add to that, yeah, I think it's a very good game. Not my type of game at the moment, if that makes sense. I go in and out of online multiplayer games, and at the moment it's not really my sort of type of game, but it is very, very polished. It is a lot of fun. I also find it a lot more balanced than pretty much all other Battle Royale games. I feel like I always stand a solid chance of winning unless you come across like a god. And the characters are all nifty. They all have, it's quite nice having all these little abilities as well, like that little Overwatch style ability stuff linked into it. But also I think their pinging system was like revolutionary, man. It was so good.
Yeah.
Like that.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, because it meant it actually made it viable playing it with random people online when they don't have mics. Because like they
where they are.
Yeah, like voice acted all these cues, and that you can ping an item and be like, "Oh, wingman over here," and then your team can see where the wingman is. The gun, sorry, it's a gun called wingman, and then they can come get it or whatever. You can ping where enemies are by double tapping. You can ping just everything.
And what I like as well,
it's amazing. Yeah,
is that there wasn't too many. There was quite a bit to the game. There was like quite a few little things that you kind of have to know after playing it after a while, but there wasn't too many things that you feel were overwhelmed.
Yeah,
easy to pick up.
Yeah,
also fun to master. I also love the revive system. I think it was the first Battle Royale that had a bring your mates back system.
And it wasn't too easy that you thought to yourself, "Oh, there's no point in killing him because he'll just come back alive." It was something that once you come back alive, everyone knows there's someone there, kind of thing.
yeah, it's because obviously your teammate's going to come back with no weapons and nothing basically. So as another player, you can pick up an easy. If you say you're playing and you see the ship come along, you're like, well, I know that person has nothing, so I can go there and get an easy kill, like quite easily. It's definitely going to be pretty much 3v1 or 3v2 or whatever. So it's really good. They introduced a lot of new things into the Battle Royale scene as well, which I just thought was nice.
And I think it's been so well, like the new things they've introduced, being for the fact that the biggest one, I guess you could say, Fortnite, it has taken things from it. For example, the revive system, they've taken that and they've put it into Fortnite because they realised it was such a good idea.
Yeah.
I guess this caters to the fact you have to try and go up against Hades, in being that I think the fact that you can play against you do play against other people, so you have to test your skill, and there was that skill part. I think for me, over rides, it depends because I mean, for me personally, I much prefer multiplayer games.
Yeah,
I much prefer the competitive side of it all.
Yeah, let's do votes. I'll start. I'll start first. Yeah, I'll start this time because I was last time. So I am going to vote Apex Legends. So I didn't love Hades. I thought it was very good for what it was. The story was was good. The very polished of that type of game. But I it's a weird one for me because both of them aren't really my type of game at the minute. I don't really like the I just completed Dead Cells, and it's very hard to play other games which aren't Dead Cells, but of the same genre, because Dead Cells was just amazing and so much fun, and I just found that Hades wasn't as good, in my opinion. But and I just thought Apex Legends did a lot for that sort of battle royale scene, and I love that I have the option to play that whenever, if that makes sense. So if I want to play a battle royale game, I'll play Apex Legends. So nothing else is even on the radar now. So, and it did a lot of things for it. Yeah. So I'm going to vote Apex Legends. Who voted for Dan? Do you want to vote? Dan,
I mean, Kevin, I'm assuming you're picking Apex, right?
Oh, I will be picking Apex. Yeah.
It's Respawn, and Respawn know how to make a solid sci-fi shooter. Titanfall and Titanfall 2 were two of my favourite shooting games for a long time, and they're still up there. And they monetized it really well. They haven't killed the game with a horrible loot box system. And you remember, Ben, when I first picked it up, I wasn't really having fun with Apex. I loved what it was trying to be. I loved the gunplay and the map design and the animations and the graphics and the mechanics. It was all really good. I just wasn't having a good time, probably because I wasn't very good at it.
That's one thing I think we have is tricky with certain games like battle royale games, is that because you are up against everyone else, you can feel as if, I mean, yeah, you can feel as if you put all this time in, get all this stuff, and then your first battle, if you come up against an absolute god, you just wasted a good 10 minutes of your life.
Yeah. But that's the problem that just stretches across every battle royale game. That's just a fundamental a thing that is battle royale. So if you don't want to play that, then don't play it. You can't fix that. Do you know what I mean?
I just wish it was Titanfall 3. I wish it was a game that had other gameplay modes to try, like just the standard smaller scale battles.
Yeah, it's like 5v5,
2v2 battles.
Yeah,
I mean, they do have one now. They have one where it's kind of like King of the Hill, but it's three against. So it's your team versus two other teams.
See,
you
that's
have
up
to
my street.
You have to basically capture the train, and then once you've captured it, you have to defend it for a bit, and then once you've captured it and defended it, the train will then shift off and go around the map until it stops somewhere. I think it's along them lines, and you got to go fight up against them again. And you have one life in those captures. So if you kill off all the other teams, then you've kind of caught it yourself, and then everyone spawns again. And
yeah, that sounds awesome. Like,
they're making me want to download it again.
If you just think, Dan, which one is the better game? That's what you need to think about in this situation, because you have played both, so you have got a nice
vantage point. Yeah. I love Hades. I love Supergiant and pretty much everything that they make. I love the artists there, and I love the musicians, but we also don't have any other multiplayer competitive games. And if any of them of recent times is going to make it through, I think Apex should make it through.
Yeah. Good choice.
I'm going to vote for Apex.
Good choice. And Kevin is clearly voting for Apex. So.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm happy.
Sorry,
with that.
Supergiant.
I feel really sad now.
No, don't. But the thing is,
Hades looked like quite a fun game.
I know, but you have to remember that we have 12 games here, which are all worthy of being in our Game of the Year list, and it's not. They didn't make it. They didn't make the Game of the Year, fine, but they are just they are still in our top 12 games. You know, when remember last week when I was like, you go on the news and it just says, oh, top 10 games of 2019. Think of it as this is our top 12 games of 2019. So they still did bloody well. So proud of you.
You know
guys.
what? Everyone's a winner at the end of the day, don't they?
Except for Kevin.
What?
Right. So, winner of round
again.
2 is Apex Legends. That means Gris is up against Apex Legends next round.
Oh, are we not going to shuffle?
Oh, we can. I mean,
I think we should shuffle.
Yeah, shuffle it, man. It's spice it up a bit because otherwise we know who it's up against.
all right. Yeah. All right. We'll shuffle it. Okay. Next game.
Russell the hat. I can't hear that. I can't hear the hat.
Sorry.
Ooh.
All right. Next game. Oh yeah, Void Bastards. Bastard. Okay, so Void Bastards is a game that everyone should play. Kevin should have played it, but he didn't.
My fault. Sorry.
So Void Bastards is developed by a company called Blue Manchu. It didn't get that much attention, like at all. I don't think many people know about it.
It kind
to be
of
honest.
slipped through the net, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So my little thingy I've written. So Void Bastards tasks you with travelling between derelict spaceships in order to loot materials to progress the story, but also to craft new gadgets and weapons to explore with. And it has a comic book art style, and all levels are procedurally generated. So basically, you're in a spaceship, and an AI basically brings you back to life. You're like a prisoner or something, and it brings you back to life, and it's like, right, I need some help, sort it out, yeah. And you start off with nothing, like a pistol, that's it. And when I say a comic book art style, I mean quite literally, it's as if you're playing in the world of a comic. It's really...
It looks like Futurama a lot, doesn't it?
It does a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But the art style is really, really cool, especially like the way you're playing it. It's got... there was a game on the Wii, I can't remember what it was called, but it was very similar sort of thing to that, where like, you know, like the little words pop up when they're doing things like clank, clank, clank and things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but it's...
That's cool.
But yeah, you go around a spaceship and they're all procedurally generated, and you go and loot, find all these materials, and you can make new weapons of them to explore more dangerous spaceships and stuff like that, and loads of different enemy types. And it's quite a fairly basic game, but it's just a lot of fun. And it's got like this overarching world map, which is also procedurally generated. So you go into the world, and it's like, right, you choose the path you want to go down, but you have fuel and food, so like your resources. So every time you travel somewhere, it uses up fuel and food, so you have to stop in certain places to get these things. So you have to like plan out your journey to make sure that you can loot enough food and petrol. I don't know what the spaceships use petrol, I don't know. Yeah, you have to make sure you have enough of this stuff to be able to sort of get as far as you want. Otherwise you'll run out and your health will start going down, and the next fight will be even harder. And then there's like really wacky places with like, so you'll go to a spaceship and all the electrics will be off, so the doors aren't working, so you have to find a route to the generator and turn it on and stuff. So like, there's loads of different little puzzle mechanics within each spaceship, which are quite unique and different. But it's brilliant. I loved it. I adored it. I completed it in like a week, and I just thought it was fantastic. You can play it as many times as you want, like, because there's like a story, but your like item stuff sort of, you know, like your weapon unlocks and whatnot carry over, so you can keep playing, and it's just a lot of fun. So I might go back to it. Kevin, you should definitely play this, by the way.
The sound design in this game is one of the things that I remember most.
Yeah,
actually, the sound design is remarkable.
Yeah.
It's the level of immersion, the fact that you're playing against like pretty much 2D, almost cardboard cutouts, moving through the environment, and yet it's terrifying at times.
Yep.
Yeah, and just the menu sound effects and the whole kind of spacey vibe was, as you're talking about it, I'm remembering how much fun I had.
Yeah, it's such a brilliant game. Yeah. Like genuinely, Kevin, you would love this, and it's a perfect sort of game for you as well, because you can play it in like little half-an-hour sittings. So you know how you're saying like you only got half an hour before you're going out and you want to play a game. Like it's really good, and it's a shooting game. So I know how much you like your shooting. And but it's fantastic. You'd definitely love it. I loved it. Okay.
Okay.
Rustling the hat. Rustle.
Who's
The next-
Russell?
Shut up.
Brand.
The next game out of said hat is Disco Elysium.
Yo, Dan, you're gonna be out quickly, mate. You're gonna be like, all your games are gonna be like, it's gonna be me against Ben the whole way through.
Oh yeah, he's
saying
already
that.
had 3 of his games. Yeah,
Yeah.
Have I?
yeah.
You like Greece,
Hades. Yeah, good
Hades,
point,
and
yeah. Disco Elysium. Oh.
Yeah.
So I almost backed out with this one because I felt like I hadn't played enough of it to give a fair judgment. And I had another session with it over the last couple of days. It's amazing. It came out of nowhere again. It's one of those sort of ghost drops that just appeared from a developer that nobody had really heard of. It's a role-playing game developed by ZA/UM. I have no idea how you say that.
Zaum.
Zaum or ZAUM.
Or Zalum. Maybe the slash is an L.
Maybe. I have no idea. I don't think they developed anything noteworthy before. It's a game inspired by traditional tabletop RPGs. It was written and designed by a novelist called Robert Kurwitz.
It doesn't sound like it was that hard to say. I don't understand
No,
why you
it
struggle.
wasn't. Yeah, I just can't read. It's a very different game to most other games on this list, and in fact, most other games I've ever played. It's almost like a point-and-click game. You just sort of click around the environment and interact with things and talk to people. And most of the actual mechanics are centered around your psyche and dialogue-driven systems, which leads to some really, really fascinating interactions. So, your character, you wake up in the city of Revachol, which is a fictional place in a much vaster world with a very rich history. And you'll wake up in this small district, which is pretty run down by poverty and crime and corruption. And the place you're in is basically marked by a failed communist revolution, which took place like 50 years ago or something. And you're seeing all of the effects of that manifesting in the people and the environment. And the way you play is you almost start as a relatively blank slate. You wake up with amnesia, and all you know about yourself is that you're a detective working on a murder case with a really, really severe alcohol problem. You've woken up with the most raging hangover. And the game progresses as you develop these. I think there's 24 different individual facets to your psyche, your personality. And those take the form in and amongst themselves as dialogue systems as well. So the logic aspect of your personality might start to have a conversation with you, which is basically the start of a thought which you can interact with, and then your endurance might do the same thing, and then your composure might do the same thing, and it's got the deepest, most fascinating character progression system I have ever experienced in a video game, like bar none. It's so mesmerizing how they've written this game. The writing is unfairly good. Like, I don't understand how it can possibly be so good and yet be so branching and so diverse and give you so many different options and ways to
It's just love and
fit
care.
yourself into
That's
this
it.
one.
They've just put lots of love and care into it.
Lots, though. The fact that it came out of nowhere from an unknown studio, it's the best writing ever in a video game. There's no question. Like, it's the best writing in a video game ever. And yeah, I mean, at first when I started playing it, I was like, oh, people are going to find this boring because there's not much gameplay. You're just kind of walking around.
Oh, you've said it now. That's it. You've lost Kevin's vote.
No, I thought people would find it boring, but the more you explore and the more you engage with the things happening around you, the more you kind of the world comes to life. And I cannot express. I know I'm just echoing what so many other reviewers have said by this point, but I can't express how well this game is designed and how alive it all feels, and just the sense of just wanting desperately to know more about this history and this universe, and I don't want to leave. It's one of those games that every time I think about playing it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be an investment. I don't know if I can get into it. And within 5 minutes, I am hooked because the writing is so remarkable. And I just want to talk to everybody, and I want to see what everyone has to say about the world. And you know how in RPG games there's often like books and bits of paper and stuff like dotted around the environment, and you're not really interested. You're like, oh, it's just extra lore. No, in this game, I literally went shopping in a bookshop and bought like all of the books that I could and was reading all of the books in the game, and just it was so interesting to see how your character's personality and psyche interacts with you as this subjective kind of observer, and how you can bounce back off it, and how you can internalize different political beliefs and thought processes, and have those merge into the kind of character that you've decided you want to play. It's Oh mate, I've never played anything like it. I think it's one of the most unique, brilliantly designed games I have ever played. It's deep and it's complex and it's a bit dark and morbid at times. I've just done an autopsy in the game, which is very graphic.
That's quite
You
cool.
don't see it happening, but the way that it's written about and described, you see the characters on the screen kind of kneel down and put their gloves on and start poking it, but most of the time you're reading the text describing what's going on, kind of like a tabletop game, and it's so graphic, and even the tiniest, most minuscule, seemingly insignificant things give you options and choices, and you're taking notes as your partner is doing this autopsy, and you can decide how to write those individual notes, whether you want to bend the truth a little bit or lie, and just and oh, I could talk about this game forever. There is so much.
You already have been talking about it forever. Dan.
I'm sorry, but it's so.
Dan, it's
good.
March the 3rd,
so
2020 now.
Yeah, I mean,
this is gonna be really
I'm
tough.
sold on this.
Yeah. Kevin, you'll start on this one.
I'm going to go against the current of what I'm like and go for Disco Elysium.
Oh, you're such a bastard. Wow. No.
Wow.
Why? Only because the idea of the game I love. I think, for example, Outer Worlds. When I was told beforehand that all your actions will depend on the consequences at the end of it all, I did like the idea of it all. It wasn't as much as I expected. I
didn't execute it too well.
Yeah, I kind of felt as if I did one thing, I didn't really see that change until I was told it all at the end. Whereas this game, it does seem like everything you do has a meaning. Everything you do is affected by things. Yeah, the reading of stuff kind of puts me off, but just the idea of it does really make me want to play the game as well. I mean, Void Bastards makes me want to play the game as well. Like, both of them games do really want me to play it. The idea behind Disco Elysium I love much better than Void Bastards.
I'm genuinely surprised by that. And I think you should try it, because although you may not have played many games like it before, you have played and enjoyed the Fallout games. You've played and enjoyed Outer Worlds to a degree. I think you'll have to shift your expectations slightly of this type of game that you're going to be playing. And there is some voice acting. It's not all just blocks and blocks of text.
Yeah.
It's quite nicely put into small chunks, like a little paragraph here and there at a time. And you're constantly engaging with it. So it's not like, here's a big whole screen of text to read. It's like, here's a bit of information. How do you want to progress? Do you want to find out more about this bit or that bit? And it takes a little while to get used to, but I think it's worth it, Kevin. I think you should give it a go.
I'll have to look at my 2020 and see where I can fit it in.
Yeah. It's coming out on console too, by the way. Just saying. I can't wait for more people to play it. Ben.
Yeah.
I'm
we know what he wants to pick. He's just upset that he has to make another sacrifice.
I'm not. I'm picking Void Bastards. Screw you. I told you, Katana Zero was the only one I was willing to get rid of. Void bastards all the way.
You're just being a bastard. You know full well that Disco Elysium deserves this.
What are you picking, Dan?
What am I picking?
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben?
I think you're leaning towards Void Bastards, right?
Disco Elysium is not just a very good game at doing what it sets out to do. It's not just good at that. It's revolutionary. I think we are going to. Once you've played it, you'll get it. But I think we're going to look at the history and the development of video games, and particularly the RPG genre, and Disco Elysium will be a turning point. It will be a game that people look back at and say, that's when everything changed in terms of where the bar is set and how good these games need to be to capture people.
I think one thing you have to look at, Ben, is Disco Elysium.
Don't you start trying to convince me, right? You haven't even bloody played it.
Disco Elysium hasn't had. Look, I think as you said before, it was another game that came out of nowhere and has only become big due to word of mouth because of how good it was. Void Bastards, I'm guessing it was the same situation, but it wasn't really kind of passed around as a good game because it didn't really go around many people.
It has made quite a few lists, and it was very good, and it did some things differently, but it's not groundbreaking like Disco Elysium is. It's just good at what it tries to do.
I'm not sacrificing another game. I can't do it. I can't do it.
It doesn't work like that though, Ben. If I don't want any of mine to be gone, then I won't pass on any of my games.
I've sacrificed Hades. Kevin has sacrificed
nothing.
Nothing.
I'm 2
Void
games
Bastards
out already.
great.
That means I've sacrificed both my games that have come up so far.
Yeah, I've got
It's commendable that Void Bastards made it into the top 10. It made it into a few people.
Do you know what would be even more
12,
commendable if it made it into the top 6?
It would, but it's not going to because it's up against Disco Elysium.
If it was up against something else, then maybe it would have gone through, but Disco Elysium could be a finalist.
It could be, seriously.
I'm not saying it's going to be,
but... No, this is ridiculous, because I know what else is on this list as well. I know that another one of Dan's I'm going to really struggle to vote against.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come up against one of yours then. I can't
drop
Disco.
Yeah, Disco Elysium.
Yes. Clearly I just had the better taste in games, Ben. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Mr. What was that? A week before the bloody 20 game of the year, you were just like, I've got no games, I'm panicking, and you made me give you Gris. That's right, everyone. For you listeners at home, Dan acted up on his high horse, said, I've got the better tasting games. I played Gris first, it was on my list first, and then Dan made me give it to him because I played more this year.
I brought it to your attention, just saying.
No, you
just
didn't.
happened to
The computer game show
yeah.
brought it to my attention. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right, if Gris wins, then it's technically mine, so that's fine. Okay. Rustling.
Who's Russell?
Okay. Every time, Kev? The next game. This game is winning. I don't care. Death Stranding. Okay. So, Death Stranding is the first Kojima Productions game. It is an exploration action game set in post-apocalyptic US, where the main objective is to reconnect the remaining citizens of the US by delivering packages and connecting them back to the chiral network, which is basically the internet. I've spoken about it quite a lot on the pod.
I think I remember that little section about 1 million times. I could really reiterate it myself now when you said that.
That's why I read it so fast. Death Stranding, I just thought was... I think... It sounds weird, but the thing that you were talking about revolutionary, like, to RPGs, yeah. I know Kojima has got his head about 50 million miles up his own arse, right? But I do think that this is quite an interesting time, because for a AAA game to be about being a delivery man is insane. And when that news got revealed, I was like, well, that sounds pretty naff. But... the way that the whole strand system where you react to other players and you sort of build things together. You can build whole roads together and zipline systems and post boxes and shelters and give vehicles to each other and stuff is really cool. And it basically shits all over things like Dark Souls with their little like putting a message on the floor sort of thing. So you really do feel like you're connected. And the fact that this whole game is that the story is to reconnect America and the gameplay is to reconnect America. And I just think it is really interesting and a lot of fun and really therapeutic to play, which I didn't think it would be. I loved it. I didn't want it to end, and it did. And I was like, And for a Kojima game to actually explain the entire story, I thought was amazing. Like the fact that, because Kojima games, normally the game finishes and you're just like, what the hell just happened? But the whole story was explained. Like, my only quarrel with the game was that it was like load of cutscenes at the start, 35, 40 hours of gameplay, and then a load of cutscenes at the end. There wasn't that much in between. There was little bits that sort of scattered about, but it felt like a big chunk of gameplay which sort of filled in the story, and then all the cutscenes and stuff started again. So it felt a bit like a movie at the end, kind of standard Kojima fashion. But it's a lot of fun. It's got its issues, you know, like with the vehicle handling, pretty terrible, and stuff like that. But for what it is really, really, really good, and it has a lot of interesting systems and items and mechanics that you just would not find in any other game. Yeah, that's Death Stranding.
Oh, I'm so afraid to watch it again, just because there's only one game I think I have that could beat that.
Borderlands 3.
Exactly.
You wait to see how stubborn I can be, guys. All right. The next game out of the hat is Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, okay. Okay. Untitled Goose Game. It's a stealth puzzle game developed by House and published by Panic. It's where a game controls a goose who bothers the inhabitants of an English village. You're basically given a set of simple tasks, but they're not so simple because you're a goose. And being a goose, all you got is a beak. So you got to do all these little simple tasks, like taking off someone's hat with a beak. The game's mainly made for humour purposes, I want to say, because the things you do to these people are quite humorous, and you know, like little things like making someone hit their finger on hit their finger with a hammer just by barking at them or squabbling. What's the word? What
I'm pretty sure geese don't bark.
What do they make? What's the
honk?
Honk. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, it's literally called honk. And the puzzles, in reality, are simple, but they take some thinking to kind of make you figure out how to do this with just a beak. And I think this is. I want to say this is quite simple. Okay, I'm going to compare this a bit to Greece, as you like to call it.
You can't talk about that game. You have no right to talk about Greece.
It's a puzzle aspect game that isn't too long. I think it has the right length for the game, and obviously you can't die, so you can kind of continuously try and do whatever you want in order to solve the puzzle. And it's not too short that you don't feel like you haven't really got to grips with how to manipulate the characters and stuff, but it's not too long that you kind of be like, oh, not another one of these, oh, not another one of these kind of thing. Overall, I had a blast playing this game. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think if anyone has if anyone has I don't know, is struggling to think of a game to just fill a little gap, just pick this game up, have a bit of fun with it, piss off some people, you know.
Move on with your life.
Yeah, it's just a.
It does look good. I mean, I've been meaning to play it. I didn't get around to it, but yeah, it does look like fun. And like you said, it's really light-hearted. It's kind of in a weird way like Gris, but the other end of the spectrum, where it's light-hearted, but like Gris is like the emotional, powerful stuff, whereas Untitled Goose Game is just
much more serious.
comical, light-hearted, just nice to play, I guess. Yeah, but I imagine I haven't actually played it, but it looks like a lot of fun, and it blew up massively, so I assume it is.
I think it only blew up just because of its the type of thing it was. Just like, oh, it's a goose kind of running around annoying people. Yeah. Admittedly, everyone initially thought it was kind of more of a piss take of a game, but it was actually quite a well developed game. And...
All right, it's voting time. So I start this time. Death Stranding.
Shocker.
Go on, Kev.
I'm going Death Stranding as well.
Oh, okay. Dan?
I discovered about 2 days ago that geese have teeth, and it's terrified me of geese now.
So Untitled Goose Game is now a horror game. Cool.
If you ever look at a picture of a goose with its mouth open, it has 2 rows of terrifying looking alien teeth, as well as a row on its tongue. So I didn't know this, and it has put me off just a little bit. I love House and what they've set out to do, and it does look like a lot of fun. I will get around to playing it, but I think what you're saying about Death Stranding being somewhat a revolutionary game because it's done so many things differently. It's got these mechanics that usually I can sit because I'm a bit of a systems freak. I love to work out how systems in games work and fit together, and I just have no idea how they've even done this. I don't understand how they've built a world like that.
As in the Strand system, the online part.
Yeah, absolutely. And also from what I've seen of it, visually, it's one of the most impressive. It's going to be the landmark game of the current generation of consoles.
Oh,
it's
by
going to be the
far.
one
Yeah, no comparison.
Yeah.
Like I cannot believe that came out of my little crappy base PlayStation 4. There's only 3 games I've played that have had that effect on me. God of War, Uncharted 4, and this. Like, when you look at it and you just think, this looks better than most of the games that I play on my PC, which is like a bloody quantum supercomputer compared to the PlayStation. Like, but honestly, the environments in that game are insane. Like, I can't believe they look that good.
And the fact that they are integral to the gameplay experience as well is all about
traversing it.
It just makes sense that they're that.
Who are we convincing here? Have we not all voted for Death Stranding?
Yeah, but it's just nice.
I just like to explain why, Death Stranding.
Cool. Yeah, I got a game in the second round.
I could have just wound you up there and gone Goose Game. But...
Yeah, but you know that it would be a very long podcast because I would never budge on that one. So, right, next game. Russell. Don't ask, Kevin.
Brand.
Oh, this is the big boy. Resi 2.
Bum bum bum. All right. Resident Evil 2 is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom.
Yeah.
It's a remake of the 1998 Resident Evil 2 game, but has been updated and adapted to be more modernised and have more into the game.
Just a bit.
just a tad, yeah.
The main consensus of the game is that a virus has broken out over Raccoon City, meaning you're fighting zombies in order to survive. You play as a rookie cop called Leon Kennedy and a college student called Claire Redfield. In terms of the gameplay, the basics of it is you kind of have to use what ammunition you have, which is very, very little, to the best of your ability. And also you have to... The overall is you're figuring out puzzles in order to get to the next stage. With that, I think the puzzle aspects is done very well for this game. I think the game itself is quite a linear game, but with the leniency, the puzzles
Sorry,
usually there's.
Is that a word? Leniency.
I don't know. Is it a word?
It sounds good. I like
I
it.
like it. Yeah.
Okay, with the leniency, all the puzzles to get from to kind of continue the linear pattern, there's usually 2 or 3 puzzles you have to do in order to get to the next bit, and those puzzles you can kind of do in your own way, which makes it have its own free roam aspect to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
But it's also, that would be decent by itself, but it's the Mr. X thing that.
Oh yeah, okay. I was getting there, man. I was getting there.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
This makes me so sad that you're talking about this because you bloody picked this game.
Yeah, and the game in general, it makes you wallow in your own fear, which itself isn't quite an old school mechanic, but it's done very well. And it's done so well that once you kind of feel a bit comfortable with the map design and what you're doing, about halfway through the game, I want to say, a little bit after, they introduce Mr. X, as Ben said, who is a big old bloke. This is what I remember him as. He's a big old bloke who walks around the map and follows the sound. So if you shoot a gun, he goes to that exact position that you shot that gun, or the next place you've made a bit of sound. And if he catches up to you, he kills you. You can't kill him. He's just a freaky ass mother trucker who adds just the next element to the game, and it's just the game doesn't make you feel comfortable at any moment.
No.
which I think is such a good thing. Just such a I think after a while, if you can manage ammunition and stuff quite well, as soon as this guy gets introduced, that's it. You kind of have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like,
all your
it's
actions.
Like Go on, sorry.
I was like, all your actions have to be very thought out. Well, so if you shoot at this moment, you have to know your escape. You have to know where you're going next, because Mr. X is going to be after you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like you said, like the puzzle element is great, but add that puzzle element into that environment with that dude chasing you, and it's terrifying. I hate puzzles in that game. I hate them. I love that it was brilliant, but I hated them because I was like, it was sort of like you find the next thing and you'd be like, oh, that means I need to go back there. And there's like 5 zombies in the way, and when I shoot one, Mr. X is going to turn up, and I don't know what direction he's going to turn up from, and you can hear him walking everywhere, and it's so terrifying, and it's just like,
But that makes the zombies themselves a threat as well.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Pop their heads off, you know.
Yeah, and the in terms of like enemy design and stuff, just in terms of looks, and the RE engine, honestly, is one of the best engines out there. It's astoundingly good looking. Like just the basic zombies looked incredible. Like it looked so good.
Very lifelike. If you could imagine what a zombie would look like in real life.
Yeah, just imagine someone with like leprosy or something.
Brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, Resi 2 masterpiece. Sad it's not my game. Please don't be up against my game. Please don't be up against my game. Please don't be up against my game. Borderlands 3! Yes! Go on, Kev. That's you again.
I was worried this would happen at one point.
Yeah, it was going to happen at one point, wasn't
it? Okay, Borderlands 3 is an action role-playing first-person shooter-looter video game developed by Gearbox Software and published by 2K Games. It's a sequel to the Borderlands 2, and it's the 4th Borderlands in the series. The game thrives off the fact that there's a bajillion guns in the game, ranging from bazookas, shotguns, snipers, anything you want. And they're all different quality. They have all different their own unique aspects to the gun. Some of them have maybe they free burst. Some of them you can throw the gun when you reload it and it'll blow up. Some of them become a minigun for you. There's so many different things all these guns do. But not only that, the comical aspect of Borderlands 3 as well is it's something that very few games have ever been able to do something so well. They've kept a lot of the characters that have been from previous Borderlands, who fans of the game have grown to love. They've kept them and they've just adapted them and made them just a bit more of who they are, coming more out their shell kind of thing. And it's just a fuckload of fun.
Yeah.
To put it that way. And I know Benny's going to be very against it because it's the same thing as all before. Yes. No.
Yep.
You might say it's the same thing as the ones before. Not that you've only played one of them, so, you know. But it doesn't mean the game's not good. Just because it's similar, it's still better. It's still there's more to the games. There's bigger maps. There's it has the same you take the same likable characters and it adds more into it. Adds different perk systems and stuff to it. There's so many different things that are to it. Yes, granted, the storyline bit bang average. They could have done a bit more with it.
But we can now stop this meme, can't we? We can stop this whole, Borderlands 3 is going to win Game of the Year, because it is not beating Resident Evil. And you know that, Kevin. Deep down, you know that Resident Evil 2 is the far superior game.
Admittedly, Borderlands 3 and Goose Game are my throwaways.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because there's some games out there there's some games out there that I think Borderlands 3 could beat that we have in this list, but I mean, I'm sorry, but comparing it to Resident Evil, I'd play Resident Evil 2 4 times over than I play Borderlands 3 again, because it was just there's a lot more to the game. If you want a more light-hearted, don't really have to think much about it.
Yeah, they're different. They're very different.
One thing Dan did rave about a lot, and I think myself I could agree with, the music was freaking phenomenal. They made you feel like you were in the game that you were playing. The chaos, the mess, the fun. That's what the music brought that to another level. I think he specifically said about the very first boss, I think you face, that he's in essentially like a nightclub and there's just what's it called? Stereos and speakers all around you, and there's just this drum and bass just banging away at you while you jump and dance around all these. You know, if this game was up against some of the other ones, I'd definitely go for it, but I think now it's up against Resident Evil. I can't.
Let's face it, Borderlands was always bottom of the barrel, wasn't it? So
for me, it'd come over Untitled Goose Game, and it'd go over some of the other games we have. But for example, I would play Borderlands 3 over probably Gris, but that's only because it's my type of game. Oh my god! Opinions are pointless these days, aren't they?
Alright, let's do voting then. Who starts? Kevin, you start.
Yeah, I'm going for Resident 2.
Good man. Dan?
Borderlands 3.
Fuck's sake. And I vote Resident Evil 2. Damn, it's the end of the meme now. Okay.
Borderlands 3 was so much fun.
Okay, but Resident Evil 2 is the better game, and you know it is.
But it's the boss fights and the soundtrack and the classic video game mechanics, which just they were perfected. Like the spatial awareness, especially as the difficulty ramped up and up and up. The gunplay combined with the maneuvering around all the different bosses and that soundtrack that just morphed and changes as the boss fights go on.
I'm sure it's great, Dan.
The space travel element to it is remarkable, and it's just such a blast to play. You know, unadulterated fun.
Have you played Resi 2?
Video games should.
No, he hasn't played Resi 2. And
hey, I played the limited time demo.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
That was good. It was brilliant. It was excellent.
Brilliant, excellent. Yeah. Dan, I know you just picked Borderlands 3 because you wanted to get you a little snippet of information about how much you loved it in there, but you know that Resi 2, you're talking about perfecting the arcade thing. Resi 2 did that like tenfold, like perfecting survival horror. Like it took the exact same formula from the original Resident Evil 2 and just made it insanely good. Like just pure perfection, like silky pajama perfection. And I just don't understand how you could
I was like, where are you going with that?
I didn't know where I was going either. I just don't understand how you could vote for anything other than Resident 2 in this situation.
Dan,
but there's only like 4 guns in Resident Evil.
No, there's
Borderlands has more.
Okay, Dan. Okay, there must have been a reason why you chose Katana over Borderlands.
I didn't.
Yeah, no, Katana's mine.
Oh, not that one. Hades.
Yeah.
Mainly because I knew you picked Borderlands.
No, you just think Hades is better, and Hades is already out, and Resident Evil 2 is better than Hades as well, so just change your vote.
Yeah, I'll change my vote. Resident Evil 2, yeah.
Alright, Resi 2. Anyone guess what the last matchup is?
Oh no, it's...
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
Oh no!
And what's your last one, Dan? Arise. Oh my lord.
Alright, whatever I pick out first is first person to speak. Arise.
I'm glad I haven't got to do it.
Okay, Arise was developed by Piccolo Studios. It was founded by 3 people who worked in advertising, creating interactive advertisement things in Barcelona, I believe. And they decided that after 15 odd years, they wanted to develop a video game for the first time ever. So they hired some very, very talented artists. I believe one of them works on the game Rhyme, which was received pretty well, particularly for its art. The game was announced in Sony's State of Play in late 2019 at some point, to a pretty good reception, I think. It just looked like a very gorgeous platformer of some kind, with some kind of emotional storytelling aspects to it. And so it's a platform adventure game, no dialogue, driven completely by this orchestral soundtrack, which is absolutely beautiful. He plays a man who has just died, and he's reliving his significant memories and the big moments in his life, which are presented through abstracted landscapes, which each kind of symbolize the emotions that he was feeling and the different things that he went through. Explores things like love and loss, depression, life, death, empathy, and it's all very, very beautifully rendered using some techniques that I've actually never seen before in video games in terms of materials and lighting. And the world is kind of an interactive toy. It's like a playground because you engage with it through a very intricate time control mechanic, and sometimes the time control is, moving back and forth in a 5-minute window or even less than that, and sometimes it's an entire year or a full season. Sometimes you're watching the snow melt and disappear, and sometimes you're watching
a boulder fall and go back up again.
A boulder fly 50 meters through the air back and forth. And it echoes a lot of what Greece did in terms of what it evokes, and it's different. It's a bit more somber, I would say, and but it's so powerful, and the fact that these guys have never made a game before, this is their first game, is just incredible. And I played this in the same week that I played Greece, and I was a wreck after that week. Like, just emotionally overwhelmed. The things that I felt playing these games just will never be forgotten. Again, in the space of a week, I played 2 games that are now up there with some of my favourite games of all time. And
a good end to the year.
Yeah, definitely. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning, and it does what it sets out to do perfectly. And there are some moments that just are massive tearjerkers, and there are some moments that are really intricately designed, puzzling moments that just work perfectly, and there are some moments which are just mesmerizingly stunning. And yeah, it's a proper roller coaster. All very symbolic and all very just wonderful rendering of this emotional palette. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I had such a good time with this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But
Came out of nowhere.
it is up against Luigi's Mansion 3, so
Oh no.
let's talk about the big guns. Luigi's Mansion 3 is... I've got this written down, haven't I? I forgot about that 1 second. Filling with words that don't mean anything. Luigi's Mansion 3. Developed by Next Level Games and published by Nintendo, Luigi's Mansion 3 is an action puzzle game set in a towering haunted hotel. You must complete each floor by beating a boss and getting the elevator key to the next, but each floor gets wackier and wackier. This game is insane. So it's like, it starts off as a hotel, right? And then like floor 1, you go through the rooms of a hotel and you beat the maid or something as the boss, and then like floor 11 is an ocean, and floor 10 is like Egypt.
Seems like... stupid, mate. Ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm not selling it really.
Shut up. Mute your mic. So it's basically a puzzle game with loads of interesting mechanics, and you have like your little plunger that you can shoot, and then you can throw things along, throw items around and pick up all sorts, and there's like a little chainsaw you can pick up and whatnot. It's a couch co-op game, so you can play with you and someone else. And I know Kevin likes a good couch co-op game, doesn't he? And it's just a lot of fun, and the puzzles are really hard but really rewarding. Like there's a lot of really, so there's like 6 hidden items on each floor that you have to get, like little keys or whatever. And then you don't have to get them; they're like collectibles, but they're always in really interesting places. And you and your person you're playing with, you play as Luigi and Gooigi, and you both have certain things that you can and can't do. So Gooigi can walk through fences, for example, because he's made of goo, but he can't walk through water because it dissolves. So like you can use those as like different mechanics to sort of complete the puzzles. The environments are stunning. It is by far the best looking Switch game there is, apart from Breath of the Wild, but for different reasons. And
Ori and the Blind Forest.
I haven't played it on Switch. I don't know what it looks like. But it because it's, you walk into each room and it's like almost like a standstill frame, if that makes sense. So it's they can put a lot of time into rendering that each room, so it looks very, very, very polished. And the animations are some of the best I've ever seen. Like when Luigi gets scared and like shivers go up his spine, and just stunning game. Definitely up there with one of the best Switch games I've played. And the fact that it's couch co-op does a lot for it. It's a lot of fun playing it with someone.
Is it only a couch co-op?
No, you can play it by yourself. So if you're playing it by yourself, you switch between Luigi and Gooigi. So you press a button to switch between them, but you can play couch co-op where you're both playing. And the combat's great as well. So the combat, you have to, loads of different types of enemies, and you have to use your like flashlight. You do like a little flash burst thing, like a flash grenade almost, to stun the ghost, and then you like suck them up. But then if you pull away while you're sucking them up, then you fill up like a meter, and then you can start slamming them against other ghosts and whatnot. It's just a lot of fun. It's just a fun game. Like, yeah, it's great. None of you two have played it, so nothing for you two to add, is there? So let's do votes. So I'm starting with Luigi's Mansion 3. Daniel?
Arise.
I don't know.
This is one of I think this might be the toughest matchup.
Yeah, I think I'm so unaware of both the games. I know nothing really other than Dan just seems to love the game. Like he's raved about it. That's all I know about the game, and obviously other than what you've just said. I mean, at the end of the day, one of you guys has to convince the other ones.
That's a good good point. So, right, one of us has to convince the other one, and then Kevin, you can just join in on that vote.
Yeah.
All right, Dan.
I've done doing the convincing first.
So I think these guys deserve extra credit for the fact that they've never made a video game before. I feel like they evoked emotions that I've not felt in a video game before. I feel like they created a work of art, like just an absolutely gorgeous work of art with such a small team of incredibly talented people. And when something like that is going up against a AAA Nintendo title, granted we don't have any other AAA Nintendo titles in our list, I don't think, so far. So that does potentially sway me a little bit. I just think it was one of the breakthroughs of this year. Like, a game design mechanic that I've not seen done that way before. Environments and animations. Again, smaller studios, so maybe you can't compare it directly to Luigi, but in terms of what the character conveys without even having a face, just through the way they move through the world, wading through snow and the climbing, and if you fall a little bit too far, you'll kind of land on your ass and kind of get up and rub yourself. And
cheeky.
And I knew that would happen as soon as I said it. And the way that you feel so much just through that soundtrack, and Ben, how good that soundtrack was. Like,
yeah, it's pretty good.
The music alone almost was enough to bring a tear to my eye. Like, it was that stunning. And the fact that all the other characters are basically just faceless statues, and yet the connection between the characters and that feeling that you get is so strong. It just did something that no other game has done before, and yeah, I don't know, man. It's something very, very special that deserves.
Have you played it, Dan? Not Dan, Ben.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Ben?
It's pretty good.
What did you think of it, Ben?
It's pretty good.
Just pretty good.
Okay,
yeah.
let me explain my thought process. All right. If I vote for Arise, then I've only got one game in the next round. But
it's good. It's good though, isn't it?
It's pretty good.
Come on, just say it. Even if it doesn't win, just say how you feel about it.
I thought it was amazing. I loved it so much.
Has Dan got 3 games then?
Yeah, I can't let that happen, man.
But I guess you just had a weak list, Ben.
Yeah, because I gave him my bloody game. Gris is mine, and Resi 2's mine.
Resi 2's not yours.
But these are the only 4 games I've played this year that were worthy. Like, you had backups and all sorts,
Gris.
I'll tell you what. My thought process is that I already have Greece, and they're very similar games in what they do, in terms of being emotional storytelling games without dialogue and music-driven puzzle games.
I just think we should all get rid of them all and put Control forwards.
That's on a lot of lists.
Or Sekiro. You know what? We'll put Sekiro forwards. I kind of wish I know
what you mean. I'm starting to look at this now as our podcast list, yeah, because we're getting into top 6 territory now. And do we want 2 narrative, story, emotional rollercoaster games in there?
But do we also want more games that more than one of us have played? Because you're the only one that's played Luigi. Both of us have played Arise, and both of us.
I'm changing my vote to Arise.
Wow. That was easy.
Yeah, because Luigi's Mansion 100% won't last past the next round, and I don't even know what I preferred out of Gris and Arise. So that would I'm kind of like banking on Gris versus Arise next round. I think it'd be wicked. Kevin, do you vote for Arise as well?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Right. So, winner of that round is Arise. So, that means our next 6 that go into the next category are Gris, which is mine, Apex Legends, which is Kevin's, Disco Elysium, which is Dan's, Death Stranding, which is mine, Resident Evil 2, which is mine, and Arise, which is Dan's.
Motherfucking selfish guy, eh?
And the message you sent before we started this was, remember guys, this is our podcast game of the year, not our individual.
But that's when we get to the last 3, we can start thinking about our podcasts, alright? But at the minute, 3 of them are mine. Alright, let me just find these things. You guys, everyone talk amongst yourselves. We just mentioned Dead, Arise, Borderlands 3 is better than hell.
I don't know what this guy's got so much against it. I think it's just because we spoke about it a lot. Maybe we didn't speak about it that much. It is.
That's why I said the meme is over. It's literally because of the meme.
He's just jealous that he hasn't had a chance to experience it.
I think so. He hasn't had the time to put in the effort for Borderlands. And I think he should rethink about his 2019, whether or not that was a good decision.
Yeah, maybe we should give it like an honourable mention at the end for being second best.
Or maybe whatever the winner of all this is should go up against Borderlands 3 right at the end.
Alright, just folding them up. Give me a sec.
Or Sekiro. I'm kind of annoyed I didn't put that in there now. I really want to play it right now.
Alright, see you later, mate.
See you later, guy, Mike. Off to buy some Sekiro.
They're all folded up. Who's ready for round 2?
Actually, you know what? Like, lay them all out, like in order from 1 to 6, and I'm going to choose number 4. You know, kind of that.
No, I'm just going to take them out of the hat, Kev.
That's boring.
Just do one method, yeah? Alright, the first one out of the hat. We don't need to discuss this now, because we've discussed them, so I can pick 2 out at a time. First is Apex Legends.
Oh.
The second, come on, Gris versus Arise, come on. It's Death Stranding.
I know where I'm going on this.
I know where I'm going on this.
I'm on the fence.
Kev, Apex Legends was very, very good, and it is still very, very good. But Death Stranding was so unique and just did so many new things, which should have been awful on paper, but they weren't. They were so much fun.
Originality.
But I've had so many hours playing Apex Legends.
Yeah, but you would have had so many hours playing Death Stranding if you had a PlayStation. It's your fault.
But would you have played that game once and go back and play it again?
That's not really the point of it.
Well,
no, but
I
might. I wouldn't be against it, but not now, not straight away. I'd play it in like a year or so. But
it's so fun though, Apex Legends.
I know, but in Death Stranding, I'll sell it to you with this. Okay, there's really unique ways you can use all the items, and there is an item which is a floating carrier. So like, you attach it to your back. If you imagine like, you know those like crates that like milk and stuff come in.
Yeah.
You know, and you get order your shopping in, and it comes in with those crates. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those that floats behind you, like tethered to a string. And if you take all the cargo off of it, you can use it like a skateboard down a hill. So you could just get on it and just skate down a hill to your destination.
You know what I don't like about this is that you guys, like, there's no way that I'm going to win this, because both of you are for one game.
What game?
Both of you are for Death Stranding.
No, there is a way. You have to convince us. You're not even trying. You just got your defences up. Come on. Go on the offense.
But there's no convince. But all of them are going to be everyone just piling on this one person and wanting them to back down.
Well, no, you have to convince us. You're not trying, Kev. Convince us. Why do you think Apex Legends is a better game?
Because you're both very stubborn people.
No, we're not. I've changed my mind so many times this game.
Shush.
Go on,
Apex Legends is a brilliant game because you have multiple different...
shooting is really
It's Kevin's catchphrase.
I just want you guys to think about what you liked about the game, and certain things you didn't like too much about it, that they've now included other game types. Like I told you about the King of the Hill type game type. They had the little zombie modes. You know, this game is forever changing, and it was made in this era, this year. So it's you know it's gonna be a game that goes on for a long time. It's gonna be changing. They're gonna be doing different things. It's an easy. You can jump in, have a game, die straight away, leave. It's simple. It's easy.
Yeah, but
something
Kevin,
that.
Come on, I've been talking about Death Stranding for a long time now, and it must intrigue you, right?
It does intrigue me. Don't get me wrong, and I would like to play the game, but I don't know how you're meant to convince someone that one game's better than the other when they've not played one game and they love one game. Like what?
I've played both.
I've played. All three of us have
you know,
played
but
Apex.
me, you got to try and you're convincing me, but I've never played it, so
Neither have I, but I'm still convinced that Death Stranding is a better choice because of its originality and because it's something different and unique. I think Apex pretty much mastered an already existing genre and made it as good as it could get, but Death Stranding set out to do something completely different, and I really respect that.
So the biggest genre in gaming for this year, a game that mastered it, or did very well in it, I mean, you can't master a game really, is losing. In probably the biggest genre of the year.
What, Battle Royale?
Battle Royale was the
Royale's
biggest one of 2019. Definitely.
No, shooting was. First-person shooter games was probably the biggest one of this year, but
maybe it mixes between 2018 and 2019. I think it's kind of a
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was more last year than this year, to be honest.
Yeah,
Apex sort of stamped the end of Battle Royale craze, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I will still play Apex, I think. I'm going to pick it up and download it again just for the lols, but...
Yeah, but like, honestly,
kind of
do you think it's Game of the Year material, Kevin? Like, honestly, do you think it is?
Could it beat the other games that we have in our list? Could it beat Disco Elysium?
Yeah, but neither of our games, in my opinion, is going to beat Resident Evil. So it doesn't matter what one I choose.
There you go then, you might as well just give
Yeah,
it
sure, go for it.
I love how Kevin puts up such a big defence and eventually just like, oh, I can't bother anymore.
Well, I know what is something that I'm never going to budge on, so...
Oh man, this is going to be a long podcast by the end of it. I can tell already that... Sorry, just bang my mic. I can tell already that the final three is going to be insanely difficult to pick from.
Yep.
Alright. First game out of the hat.
Grease in a
Disco.
Rise. Grease in a Rise. Oh.
That's good, because now the next game just has to be anything apart from Gris or Rise.
So that has to be Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 2!
No. Oh no.
Yes! That was the matchup I wanted this whole time.
Oh no.
Dan, you're going to have to kiss goodbye to Disco Elysium, man. There is no way, and you know that there is no way me and Kevin are budgeting. Budgeting on Resi 2. It's just not going to happen.
This is why it's so sad.
Objectively, Disco Elysium deserves to win, I think.
No,
it's
not against Resi 2.
Because it's a breakthrough. Resi 2 isn't a breakthrough. It's just a really well-crafted...
Yeah, but we're not. This is game of the year. It's not breakthrough of the year.
Yeah, but Disco is an excellent game as well. Like...
Yeah, but as well, not like
as well.
Dan, you know what are those things called? Eulogy at a funeral. This is your eulogy for this girl Elysium. Go on, give us your final words, go on, because you know that it's not getting through.
I will buy you both a pizza.
Oh, I'm actually well hungry right now.
Me too.
You know what? That could have worked if it was around your house now doing this together, but we're not, so I think...
Oh, I'll send it to your house. It'll be like any pizza you want, any size, stuffed crust, extra dips, maybe a side.
No,
really?
no.
my cheese.
No, Kevin, no.
Doesn't food win Game of the Year?
Oh,
I'm joking. I'm not budged off Resident Evil 2.
it's not happening. Not happening.
All right.
Don't.
Well,
Disco Elysium is
I can
good,
tell
but-
it's not going to happen. I can tell it's not going to happen. And also, again, it's 2 players out of 1 player.
Exactly.
It's 1 player.
But it's impossible to beat it.
It only because it's Resi 2. Like, not. It does depend on the matchup. Like.
And the thing is, Ben, like I feel like you're slightly biased because Resident Evil is such. You're so attached to that series of games that it's going to be hard to pull you away from it. Like, if any game should be able to beat it, it should be Disco.
No.
So we're basically admitting right now that you guys aren't going to budge for anything.
No, I would budge for something. If it was Resi 2 against Gris, it would be a different thing. Or Arise. It would be a completely different conversation. I've never played Disco Elysium, and it sounds very, very good, but Resident Evil 2 was a masterpiece, in my opinion. So I can't gamble against Resi 2 on something that I don't know is a masterpiece, because I know that Resident Evil 2 is.
The only thing I'd budge for is Speedrunner, but so.
Honourable mention.
Disco Elysium is just full of wonderful surprises, and every turn in the story just makes your jaw drop. It's so deep and so good. It's so... Oh man, I love it. It deserves to be somebody's game of the year.
It will. It's a lot of people's game of the year already. So
I haven't even come close to finishing it. I don't even think I'm close to halfway through it, and it's one of the best games I have ever played. And I'm gonna have to budge.
You are.
So Resident Evil it is, but Disco Elysium, Zalum, Zaum, you guys have just wow.
And
just wow.
And don't get me wrong. Like, I will play it, and I'm sure I will love it, and I might even regret my decision. But currently, because I haven't played it, and I have played Resi 2, it's impossible to gamble on this one. So
yep, I get that.
Yeah,
I'll budge.
Cool, thank you. So
no pizza for you.
Right. So one of the hardest decisions in video game history: Gris or Arise.
Oh, it did actually match up.
Yeah.
Of course it did.
Yeah. Oh, this is so hard.
My thought process is, firstly, sort of throwing myself back into the feelings that I was having playing the game, and then secondly, going through the game from a visual point of view, and then thirdly, how the mechanics worked. And the music was equally good in both, very different, but equally good. Visually, obviously, they're very different, but
I think Gris just looked better. If that makes sense.
I think Gris conveyed things better, and also that the environment was more interesting, like the little characters.
And adding the colour palettes to
just
it.
Felt... Yeah. The gameplay mechanics in Arise, I think, were probably a bit more interesting. It's so simple, and the animation was so excellent in that game. It was all about the simple animations, and the fact that the game thrived on simplicity, like it used that to its advantage. It's called A Simple Story, and it's a simple game with just these little nuances that bring it to life. And it's their first game ever. Like, this is really hard.
This is like almost impossible. I can't.
I'm gonna. Okay, coming from an outsider.
Yeah, that'd be good. Go on, yeah.
Okay, so one thing is I don't like with what you got. Well, Dan specifically likes to say is that it's their first game. You know, you've got to give them some credit and stuff. You don't, because at the end of the day, it's a game.
Oh, it's
like,
such a bastard.
Just because it's their first game, like you can't. There's nothing.
A game is a game. To rate it, like review it on the base. Your spectrum is every game. It's not the spectrum doesn't rely on the people making it. It's like you're comparing it to other games. That's all you're doing.
you can't have two developers make the exact same game and give one developer more credit because they've made less games than another game.
Yeah,
you know.
Sure, I get
so,
that. That's a good point.
But not in general. In general, yes, it's first game is great, but when you're picking Game of the Year, you can't. I don't think we could take that into account.
Yeah.
Nope, I agree. I think that's a good point.
But then, in terms of actually the games and how you guys talk about it, you guys seem to have a lot more love for Gris than you do of Arise. You seem to have a part of you that has, you know, like part of your heart loves Arise, but the majority of it seems to just take over with Gris. I think for what both the games do, it sounds like Gris does what it does better.
I think with Arise, at the end of it, I felt almost overwhelmed, but also that there was a sense of closure and a sense of comfort, maybe. But with Greece, it felt like it comforted my soul. Like it was genuinely a healing experience. Like it sounds so cheesy to say, but it felt like things got better, and it felt like the ending in Arise was coming to terms with, and in Greece it was moving on. And you know, something nice about the morals and the story that Greece tells you can take with you and in life, and just I don't know, you can get something out of it, whereas Arise was kind of a contained experience.
I feel like Arise ended with a full stop, but Gris ended with a ... Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Arise is literally like bang, that's the end. No more story ever from this. Like it's done. Done. Yeah. Whereas Gris was like ... Now use this going forward in life, sort of thing. It was I don't know. I honestly don't know. I connected more with Arise in terms of the story, and I came closer to crying in Arise than I did with Gris. But I think Gris is the better game in terms of game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I think like artistically and the music, and there were a lot of there's a lot of moments in Arise, but there were the moments in Gris were better than the moments in Arise, in my opinion. Like the turtle bit and the when you first get your voice, and just like, you know, there's just more standout moments in Gris than Arise, but the Arise story, oh, it's so hard. All right, let's just vote. Let's just do it. I'll start. I'm gonna vote for Gris.
Me too.
Then there we go. I'm gonna vote for Arise. No.
I'm literally leaning forward in my chair right now. I'm just like...
Me too. Yeah, me too.
I feel really sad about that. I thought Arise was so good.
Both of those games meant so much to me this year, and I think for me the deciding point was that I played Arise during a pretty rough weekend in my personal life, and at the end of it I was so emotional that felt like I'd taken so many of those lessons and managed to get over that hump thanks to that game. So it actually had a real measurable impact in my life.
Yeah.
Whereas Arise is just a memory that is amazing to hold on to and treasure. Gris is something that helped me move forwards. So
yeah. All right. Gris it is. So our top 3 video games of 2019 with the Praise the Pickle stamp of approval are Death Stranding. Oh, we all got one in. Resident Evil 2 and Gris. Oh, that's good.
Cool.
We all got one in.
Cool. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to get one in, to be honest. It was just lucky that Death Stranding came up against Apex Legends.
Yeah.
I think of all the games on this list, that was the only one it was going to beat. And following on from that, I'm not going to pick Death Stranding as the number 1 game for the year. So even though it's my game, whoever's game it is out of the window now. Okay, this is the this is the one where our name, our collective name as Praise the Pickle, is going to have that stamp saying it's number one, our Game of the Year one. So that next year we can start, releasing Game of the Year editions of these games. So, I would happily say no to Death Stranding because it was really, really good, but it did have flaws, whereas Resident Evil 2 and Gris didn't. So, that it's as simple as that. It's not as good as the other two, but it still was very, very, very good. I'm looking forward to you playing it, Dan, and if you get around to it, Kevin playing it as well next year. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts.
We'd need a PS4 for that one, wouldn't I?
No, it comes out on PC in summer.
Oh,
yeah. So, are we happy with that? Out of Resi 2 and Gris, yeah.
This is going to be hard because Gris is not Kevin's kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted Gris to go out in the first round, so.
I generally am not a huge fan of horror games. They don't click with me. I'm open-minded to them. I still want to play Alien, and I still kind of.
See, I don't like horror games that much either, but Resident Evil was sick.
Yeah. Sorry, Capcom. You can use that in your promotional material if you want. Resident Evil was sick.
On the box.
Do you know? I don't know. Like, I've always said I don't really like them kind of games, horror games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never play a horror game on my own. I know I played Outlast, but I played Outlast more of because I'm forced to play it and I actually want to play it. But Resident Evil was just something else, man. There's not been a single game this year that I mean, we basically completed the game and I wanted to come around and play it again. Like,
yeah, I remember you saying that actually. Yeah.
And I obviously we have to try and get Dan to, well, obviously it depends on what side you want to be on, Ben, but
I'm smack bang in the middle right now. Like, I'm literally 50%, 50.0% on either side because I thought they were both astounding.
And you're the only one that's played both.
I am the only one that's played both, yeah.
I mean, I played the demo, so I have a bit of experience, I guess.
I think my worry is that I know that Kevin won't like Gris, but I also know that you will like Resident Evil, Dan.
Yeah.
That kind of means that all three of us like Resi 2, whereas only 2 out of 3 of us would like Gris. And as a podcast, you need to decide what your number one game is collectively, and it would feel a bit mean picking Gris because Kevin won't like
that's
it.
That's my thought process.
And we know Kevin won't like it. Like, there's no.
You have to think more broadly as well. That obviously Gris isn't for everyone. Obviously, yeah. I don't deny the fact that it was a well built game, and it is for people that are have heart. It's a good game.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, like a lot of people. I mean, for example, I go into a game and I don't think about the music. I don't think about the art style. I go there, I do what I need to do, and I get out, kind of thing. Which is why I guess
you must be a fantastic lover. Don't think about the music, the atmosphere, the looks, or anything. I just go in, get what I need to get done, and get out.
Take your pants off. Let's get this over and done with. Oh Jesus, that sounds really bad, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I Gris was astoundingly good for me and you. But as a collective, Resident Evil 2, I think, is the better choice. Not the better game, the better choice as Game of the Year.
I don't
but
think
that does mean you do have to play it, Dan, like really badly. Because you can't have the Game of the Year if you haven't even played it.
That's why it's so difficult. I mean, I think Apex is the only game we've all played, isn't it?
Probably out of all of these, yeah. We just double check.
So I think that should be the game of the year, shouldn't it?
No. Yeah, it is. It's the only one that all 3 of us played. What are your thoughts, Dan? Come on, speak to Papa Ben.
I don't think he's happy with it.
I don't know. I just want to hear your thoughts.
You know, there are like stages of grief where you have to go through the sadness,
acceptance,
the anger,
towards the end.
acceptance. I think Greece really does deserve it. It was truly just a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's stopping me at this point from just going, yep, Resi, straight up, is it's another AAA Capcom game, and in my head I'm like, I really, really want this indie studio that have developed something truly stand out and special.
We've already had this conversation. It's not about the studio. We are a blank slate.
But the game
this is
itself
games.
is objectively good. It's so good. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the thought process needs to be
what is the better game collectively.
What would we all enjoy? And I have played the demo, and the demo was really good, and I was really pissed off when it ended after an hour or whatever it was.
Honestly, you'll love it. Play it. It's like 10. You can get about 10 quid now. Just play it.
I'd love to play the game if we can all get together at one point and play it all together.
Oh
again.
Yeah, should we do that?
Because it would be so sick.
Dan?
I mean, yeah. I mean, even if again, I know it's not the same game, but even if we was to wait till Resident Evil 3 and that comes out and we all play that together, that would be just banging.
Yeah, no, I'd only ever want to play it with someone. I'm pretty sure I've played all Resident Evil games with someone else. Like, I feel like it's much better with company. I don't know why, but I mean, most games are.
Not any game is.
But Resident Evil is a good pass the controller sort of game, and working up puzzles together and things like that's really good. But I am sad. I do want to stress that because Gris is insane, but Resident Evil 2 collectively. If we put it this way, if we were to do Moonlights in all these games, me and Dan would probably give Gris like a 10 out of 10, and Kevin might give it like a, I don't know, anywhere between a 5 and an 8, God knows. But if we would all give Resident Evil 2 like at least 9, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
As much as it pains me,
it does hurt. It even hurts me.
Dan's gonna cry himself to sleep tonight.
Okay, I'm circling it. That's it. Resident Evil 2 Remake is our game of the year for 2019. This is it.
I know, I'm not sad about it.
That was me stamping it with the Praise the Pickle 2019 stamp of approval. And it was my game that won. That's great.
Both of your games were finalists.
Yeah. All 3 of them were mine. Great. Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like we didn't give Death Stranding a lot of attention. It was really good, but it did have flaws, whereas the other 2 didn't, like I said. Definitely play it if you haven't. It's very long, and definitely not everyone's cup of tea. But I'm very happy, collectively, to say Resi 2.
Can we all give it, like, can we give it, like, a few shout-outs to games that didn't quite cut it?
Yeah, can do. Go on.
Alright, Borderlands 3.
Okay, I thought you meant games that weren't on our list because we've discussed all those. Were there any games that weren't on your list that deserve a shout
out? Me, if I had played more of the game, Sekiro would definitely have been up there. In my opinion, Sekiro was close. It wasn't too far behind Resident Evil 2 for me because I do thoroughly enjoy that game. As frustrating as I can get at it, that's more to my own poor playing of the game. Yeah. It's just so freaking fun.
Yeah, Charlotte watched the trailer for it yesterday, and I was just trying to figure out what to play, and the trailer came on for it, and she was like, "What's that?" I was like, "Sekiro," the one that Kevin's playing. He was like, "Why haven't you got it?" I can't afford it. Yeah,
Christmas present, mate.
Oh mate, Christmas is over. It's gone.
Yeah, it's true.
I think for me, it was the Plague Tale Innocence. I thought was really good. It wasn't Game of the Year. I mean, it couldn't compete against most of these games, but I did think it was really good. And I completed it in like 2 days with Charlotte, and we both really enjoyed it. Had really amazing environments and really interesting puzzles, like real life puzzles, not just like, oh, move this block from here to here. It was like manipulating live beings, which was really cool. So, Dan, one shout out, go.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I didn't play enough of it to give it the judgment, but it's basically Star Wars Dark Souls, and it's so much fun,
Yeah.
especially on the harder difficulties. And as a Star Wars fan, sort of growing up around it, it fills such a huge gap.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's brilliant.
What stage of grief are you on now, Dan? Resentment.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm still sad. Not gonna lie.
Well,
He's just buried himself.
Our top 3, just for a little finale. Top 3. Number 1 was Resi 2. Number 2 was Grease, and number 3 was Death Stranding, which I am happy with. You guys happy? Dan's definitely happy.
Yeah.
Wonderful. This is it. This is the end of our Game of the Year show. And we'll be back again in a couple of weeks. So I can't remember if we even told you, Kevin. We're going to take a 1 week break.
Next year. Oh, are we? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1 week break, and we'll be back on
Next year.
Yeah, next year. I'm just going to check my calendar so I don't get this wrong. We'll be back on the 11th of January.
Oh, and I would be another whole year older as well. So.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
God, 1 year closer to death.
Thank you. A lovely light spin to put on life.
Right, if you do have any feedback or anything, just hit us up on our social medias. Kevin, where they're at?
Oh, they are. Twitter is at Praise the Pickle. Email is praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com. Facebook, just search Praise the Pickle, you'll find us. And on Instagram, Praise the Pickle Podcast. Although if you do Praise the Pickle, you get some random person. So Praise the Pickle Podcast it is. Make sure on all your things you watch it and listen to it stuff on, you like, you comment, you subscribe, you rate us 5-star or whatever star you want. Just all that good stuff.
Yeah. And as a final point for 2019, thank you for an amazing start. It's been great. We've
How long's it been now?
We're loving it. About just under 4 months.
That's
3.5 months. Yeah. So thank you. It's been a big learning curve for us, but for those of you that are still listening, thank you. And yeah, you've been amazing, and it's nice to know that people out there actually give a crap about things that we say. So love you all, and Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. See you in the new year, and I'm looking forward to starting the next term of Praise the Pickle with all our crew. So much love.
Yeah.
And Pickle out.
Pickle Squad
out for the year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good friends, goodbye.
And now it's time to go. But hey, I say, well, that's okay. Cause we'll see you very soon. I know. Very soon, I know.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.